Okay, welcome back everyone. Now we have the Christchurch Children's Christmas Parade Trust. Jason, very, very good to see you, mate.
See you too. Well, good morning everybody. I'm from the Christchurch Children's Christmas Parade Trust. I'm here to talk about our beloved Santa Parade and preserving our history and saving our future. Just a little bit of background about the parade. The parade has been a part of Christchurch for over 75 years. It was started back in 1947 by James Hay, owner of the famous, locally famous Hayes department store, and it was known as the Hayes Pageant. It ran for many, many years until the 80s, when farmers acquired Hayes, and the farmers changed the name, of course, to the Farmers Santa Parade and ran it themselves until 1991, when farmers donated the parade to the children of Christchurch. Well, they actually donated it to the Christchurch City Council, who declined it at the time and formed the Christchurch Children's Christmas Parade Trust. At the time, Vicky Buck was the mayor, and the city had just committed to two new festivals, the Floral Festival and the Festival of Romance. I note that the parade is still the event that is running. So the parade ran, it struggled quite a bit over the years for that 30 years until 2019. After 30 years of renting, we acquired the gymnastics centre at QE2, which is an earthquake damaged building, and it was a great addition to the parade. We now had our own home and didn't have to pay huge, I think it was about $70,000 to $80,000 a year in rent to rent a building. In 2020-21, we had obviously pandemic cancellations, and we held a grotto out at the building, which was quite successful, but a lot of people felt that it just wasn't the same as a parade, as the static floats without music and people on them just don't really cut it in the same way. So it was a good filler, but not really the kind of event that would be a yearly thing. Also, the condition of the building made having a big public event in there also a little bit questionable. In late 2021, we planned for a ticketed and vaccine-passed indoor parade because we were told that back then that it would be years before we would ever have a parade again, and we'd have to vaccine pass, and how could you vaccine pass a parade? So we made plans to have an indoor show. At the time, we were also still struggling for funding, so it was a time that we looked at maybe earning our own income for a change. So we looked at doing a ticketed show in the arena. In 2022, Mr. McDonald on News Talk ZB got hold of the news, and the event of people paying to come and see the show was widely rejected by the public. Obviously, the way it was put across, but we then pivoted and had an alternative free outdoor event at the Canterbury Agricultural Park instead. In 2022, those plans were rained off, and we didn't have a rain date because of the late booking of the park, so it was completely rained off. And last year, 2023, after 76 years, the first parade was held at the Canterbury Agricultural Park. It was a massive success with an attendance of over 30,000 plus, which was a huge achievement on a very low advertising budget, and we're expecting that to pretty much double this year. We actually think the park might not even be big enough, and that eventually we might have to go to 2 days with the festival and make it a weekend thing. So our home at QE2 is the big building that you see on Travis Road when you're coming in Janey Parkhouse Drive, in between the schools and the park. It's earthquake damaged. We acquired it in 2019, and you can see how large the building is. It's a good home, but the earthquake damage has its own problems. Owning an earthquake damaged building versus carefree renting, although finding the money to pay the rent was a problem, it now presents its own set of complications. We're now responsible for the maintenance of said earthquake damaged building. The trees around us, we have a massive amount of trees around our building. They dump their leaves on our roof every year and cause the drains to leak, and because the building is earthquake damaged, the building leaks. If we don't get the drains cleared, which costs us $4,000 annually, the building leaks completely. But the problem is, by the time the trees have lost all their leaves and we're able to do the cleaning, the building has already started leaking. So it's a bit of a... We're not complaining, it's still our home. End of last year, one of the large panels fell off the top of the building, and because the building is concrete slab, we thought we'd just leave it because it didn't really affect us that much, but we also discovered that slab was holding the roof on. So now when the wind blows, the roof now flaps too, and we're really worried that if we have a big storm this year, that's going to peel right back. So that's something we're dealing with at the moment. Warrant of fitness requirements are becoming very difficult to achieve on the building each year, with quarterly inspections and an outdated fire system that almost needs replacing. We also face lots of vandalism at QE2 because of its underdevelopment and the state it's in with no lighting. We have our windows smashed regularly, so we boarded them up. We boarded them up and painted. It was looking good, and then we got ram raids, so now we've got blocks. But all in all, it's our home and we're happy with it. We get tagged a lot, which wasn't such a problem before we had a partnership with Avonside Girls to do a mural on our wall, thinking that would stop the tagging, but it seems to have made it worse. And now that we've got a mural on the wall, Snap Send Solve doesn't seem to want to touch it and clean it for us anymore because we've got a mural, even though it's covered in the tagged stuff that is supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to take that off. All in all, it's our home, and inside we make the most of it, and this is our lovely foyer. So to make the building pay for us, because we now have to pay for the outgoings of the building, we've become a landlord out of necessity. In 2021, we created a community hub. We now are not just a one-day event, we're a 365-day operation. We have the parade in there, we have our volunteers in there once or twice a week working on the floats and the machinery. The Christchurch City Choir has their whole music library in our building. Lumineers Youth Theatre uses us for their storage. Toy Toy Opera uses us for storage. Showbiz Christchurch uses us for costume and set storage. Santa's Workshop has moved into our building. They're a group of retired people who manufacture toys all year, and in November they give them away to children of need. So they're now in our building too. We have the Shirley Boys High have storage in our building because their new school wasn't built big enough. Garden City Slot Car Club have a big room that they've done up in our room and upstairs, and have a international sized slot car ring in there which they'll be able to host national competitions. They actually built the track a bit big for their room and now are looking for more space in our building to house it. But they've made a good job and we're happy to have them in once a week. Having all these people in our building means it seems lived in. When it's left empty, that's when a lot of the vandalism and stuff happens. So we're trying to turn that dead part of the park into something alive. Very soon we've also got the Markland Model Railway Club moving into our building. So we'll have the Slot Car Club, the Railway Club, the parade. We'll be able to do tours and have kids through to look at all the different things. I think we're opening up to a really cool facility here. We also house the community stage that was built by the council in 2017 and donated it to us last year because it was too hard to manage. We now manage it on behalf with our volunteers. Makes a little bit of money, but it doesn't really make a lot of money. We can use it in our event, but it pays for the volunteers' fish and chips and it keeps us happy. The parade in the new city. We tried several times to get the parade back in the city. We kept running up against roadblocks, so to speak. Most roads are now too narrow with cycleways and islands. There's disruption to business and a huge traffic management cost. Also disruption to emergency traffic routes because of the new design of the city. There's only a few of those and they can't be stopped. Montreal, roads that we would like to use. It's also difficult to gain permission through residential areas now, with there being a lot of residential areas on the edge of the city. One of the streets I really wanted to use was Durham Street, setting up the parade at the residential end, from the casino back, starting at the casino, going down around the river, past the markets, ending around South City. I think that would have been a beautiful parade route for the city, but we were told it would be too hard to close those roads and to gain public permission to close their road, because it's not just for the hour of the parade, it has to be closed for most of the morning in the residential area to get the parade all set up. So the solution was to take the parade off-road, also with the pandemic. So we had our pandemic idea at Wolfbrook Arena, which was declined by the public. We looked at Addington Raceway, which was almost a go, but the surface wasn't quite right, and the ranking on the sides meant the floats would almost be going sideways, so it was also a safety issue. We looked at Canterbury Agricultural Park and it was perfect. Has a fantastic area to park the floats pre-parade. It has a 1.4 kilometre, almost perfect at the time, parade route that finishes where it starts, so it's convenient for patrons. Now, we had it all set to go. It was rained off, but just as well, because that part of the parade route in 2022 was totally unsealed. So it meant part of the parade was going to go on a gravel with had potholes and all sorts of things. It was a bit of a safety issue. Last year, Fulton Hogan came to the rescue and sealed it for us. So now we have a fully sealed parade route and in a venue that is almost tailor-made for the parade festival. This is what we come up with. It has an amusement park, markets, entertainment, animal farm, the parade at 2:00. Everybody loved it. Let's take a look. It was a parade like no other. Christchurch's biggest family day out and what we call Santertainment. Let's take a look at a little bit about the day. So it was a fantastic day. The people loved it. It was the day after Christmas in the park. There's big potential for us, as I was saying to Andre, to actually market the whole weekend as the big Christchurch Christmas weekend. Christmas in the park on Saturday, the parade festival on Sunday. Hopefully it will have some economic impact with people coming in from out of town. We know that Facebook mothers groups all around the South Island have been talking about it. People in Dunedin, we had people from Timaru come. Somebody from Motueka wants to steal our idea for their town. The public feedback was amazing. Congratulations on bringing back good memories. This was an awesome event. Such a great time. Loved taking my kids. So much better than it was on the streets. We had a wonderful time. This was amazing. No words express how wonderful the event was. It just goes on and on. We didn't have one negative comment. The only negative comments we had were from the parking, which we're working on. So the event was so successful, we managed to sign a 3-year sponsorship deal with VIP Frames and Trusses, which gives us a good 3-year income and a bit of a future there. So we're very proud to welcome them on board. Our operational budget is $253,000 roughly for the year, of which we raise about $125,000 ourselves. If you take the Strengthening Communities payment out there, which we're on our last one for this year. What we're asking for from the City Council is a 50-50 partnership, that the City of Christchurch raises 50% for this event and the Council contributes 50%. Our contribution is done through the naming rights sponsorship, the rental income we have in the building, individual float sponsorships, you see who's already on board, our charitable status funding applications, and new event income that we've created through the market and food vendors and amusements. This doesn't make a huge amount of income, but it pays for itself on the day, so it contributes to the event. We also have public donations because we're a charity, and we produce a major event for the city at a much lower cost to the council because we have a charitable goodwill and thousands of volunteer hours. It would take the price of the parade to an unmanageable amount. So summary is, we're not just a one-day event. We're asking for some security for us and those who depend on us, especially with our building, where our building is concerned. The cost to re-establish what we already have, a building, beautiful floats and a workshop, would cost well over $5 million if we were to start again today. The community hub and the Christmas parade costs approximately $250K a year. Much more of it was run by the council via loss of charitable status and volunteer network alone. Despite much and ongoing education, most still believe the parade is a Christchurch City Council event anyway, and we don't think this is going to change. We'd like to have equal status to the other sister major events like Sparks and Te Rama Mai, and just be given a guarantee that the Santa Parade will happen. We've been going for 75 years and plus, longer than anybody in this room has lived. And I think it's something that we need to save. Those floats that were donated to our children, it's our children's parade, not ours. It's our care to look after it. So, and that can be done by reviewable long-term inline funding. We're asking for $125K annually, which is 50% of budget. And might I add that that's not really asking for much more than we get anyway annually when you combine our different funds. It just gives us the security of starting the year, getting on with it. At the moment, we don't find out until July or August what we're going to get, how much we're going to get. Half the year's gone. Our volunteers work from January through in the building, and we just need funds to get us through the year. We take care of everything. So it's a one-stop shop. At the moment, we get money for operations and money for the parade. We just want a one-off fee. We provide the parade and the whole event. Well, not a fee, one-off grant, should I say. Okay, so the parade has changed with the times. I'm out of time, but that has changed with the times. This new style free event has proven itself to be a winning formula, and it's totally unique to Christchurch, something we can really build on. A free event of this size cannot stand alone on commercial sponsorship and will always require crucial support from Christchurch City Council and funding foundation grants. And you can see the foundations that already support us. So it is crucial that the council support this event. It is the main thing is it's a free event for the city, and it's an event of the size that the council produces. So for the public to have to produce it all, we're looking at doing half, and we think half is manageable for volunteers to raise every year, $125,000 for a small volunteer trust. That's all I've got to say. One more thing is please come to our open day. So anybody watching on the live stream, if you're a business person and you'd like to sponsor a float, come to our open day, which was also, and all the councillors were also invited, but come to our open day and sponsor a float. Support your city's parade. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jason. Well done. Sarah, please.
Thanks so much. My kids have enjoyed the parade over the years. I'm sorry for this question, it's a bit of a downer. So back in 2018 when the parade came to the council asking for similar levels of funding, one of the things that Pete Townsend said was that having the gym, which they intended to buy later in the year, would reduce the trust's reliance on council for funding.
Yes.
And that doesn't seem to be the case in the
No.
end. And I'm just wondering...
I believe it has reduced the council because I think the council was funding the parade around $250,000 in those times because there was the event funding plus the $80,000 or whatever for the rent.
Yeah, I think
so this way you're getting the building, the facility, and the event for 125, which is still much lower. And considering that we're now 4 years in from there, and with inflation and everything, I think that still has reduced the cost, but the parade will never be independent. To produce a free event for the city of that size it just can never be. We'd have to ticket, and we know what the people think about ticketing.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I must say, Yanni, please, you had a question.
Thank you. Look, thank you for the great work you've done. I was lucky enough to go and attend, and I thought the buses that you had on as well. A lot of positive feedback about getting people on the buses from town. So well done. Just when I looked at your sponsors, I didn't see Rata there. Does Rata contribute?
No, Rata doesn't contribute to us. We don't qualify for Rata funding anymore because it's not targeted.
Right, okay. But
So
I mean...
They say that they will fund a bus for us from a targeted area like Linwood,
Yeah.
and they will provide that funding.
Right.
Our attitude is we provided a free bus from the city. Why would we go through all that extra work when we need money for the event to do something that doesn't really enhance the event when we put on a free bus anyway? They're not prepared to contribute to the parade as such.
I wonder if we can try and talk to Rata, because it's a free event.
Okay. Yep.
They used to contribute to us, but not any longer.
Right. Now, lastly from me, Jason, we are so lucky to have you and your enthusiasm and what you do out there. I encourage every councillor, if they can, if they want to go out and see what you actually do, because bringing to life all the, what I'd loosely call the buggered floats that were there, what you've done in putting other car engines and bits of cars underneath them to get them all up and running again, it's an absolute credit. And
the credit goes to the volunteers.
yeah, of course, but you're the
volunteers.
glue that holds it all together. So I think we're very lucky. And one of the things that I like about it, even though some poor child thought I was Santa, and that wasn't a good look. obviously got issues. You've brought it back to basics. We haven't got myriads of things that aren't Christmassy in it. You know where I'm coming from.
That's why the change of name, it's the show parade. There's so many Santa parades out there.
Yeah.
We're the only other city that has these beautiful major floats. So what I've done is made a parade where each float is a little show of its own. Richard Marriott and the Vocal Collective recorded. Each float has its own recording now, so we don't have copyright problems. That track, that Santa Claus track, was recorded by the Vocal Collective and Richard Marriott at Ara. We partner with as many locals as we can, so there's no copyright on that track. So yeah, we're turning it into a show parade, and we hope that eventually that's what it'll become. Are you going to the show parade at the showgrounds?
Okay. Thank you very, very much once again. Okay, on Zoom we have Adrian, please. Good morning.